Hello and welcome back to the Just Can't Talk podcast, where I swear to God we will have a consistent uploading schedule. We just have had some issues with scheduling and things. So yeah, welcome back, and
good to be back.
It's good to be back. We've been off for a couple weeks, but that's mainly because we've just been very busy with our personal lives, and
there's just been some stuff going on in our personal lives and some issues with figuring out scheduling and whatnot, but we're here.
We are here.
The much awaited return from our maybe 2 or 3 viewers at this point.
Yeah. But the good thing is we did, in the meantime, on our break, watch a decent amount of movies.
Yes.
Some worth not really talking about, but we'll get to those. But the movies we're going to be talking about today are pretty much just a random assortment of movies. We're not each bringing some to the table. We both watch these on our together.
Yeah.
So,
we've got 8 movies, and it's kind of just a big mix of everything. It's just kind of a general, these are the movies that we watched in the last couple weeks or whatever, sort of roundup, and just kind of what our thoughts are on them and stuff.
Yeah, this will be probably the first episode of many of a movie roundup, just kind of random assorted of movies that we watched, being oh, let's talk about this one. This should be fun.
Yeah.
So we have everything from classics to obscure movies to new movies. So I'm really excited to get into this because
got some thoughts
on some of these movies.
Yes.
Some controversial, some I don't know.
Got some hot takes, got some cold takes, got some
everything
mid-warm takes.
Mid-warm takes. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna go from the first movie we watched to the most recent one we watched.
Yeah.
So the first one, we'll just jump into it. Let's just jump into it.
Yeah, let's just jump into it.
The first movie we watched was actually on my birthday, that we're going to start with this weekly roundup, or this roundup of movies of sorts. We watched it on my birthday because I was waiting for this movie for a year? Over a year?
Yeah.
And that's The Green Knight. When that first trailer dropped a year ago in 2020, I was I have to see this movie.
Right.
This movie looks so good. I was so excited for this movie. Emphasis on was.
Yeah.
It looked really pretty. The cast I really liked. The vibe, aesthetic, the very vibrant, horror-esque influenced medieval movie.
And A24 is always great for the most part.
For the most part, they put out some good movies. They put out some stinkers.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's the latter. This movie was really bad. This movie was really, really bad. I was in denial for a big portion of the movie. I was I remember I turned to Jess and I was so what'd you think of the movie?
No, okay, so what happened is it was the 2 of us and then a couple and then a friend of ours and then my fiance. We kind of all watched it together. And everybody else was talking about it and I just stayed really quiet because I was that was fucking awful. And then Kit was oh yeah, this is good and this is cool. And then they turned to me and they were oh, what'd you think about it? And I was just I hated it.
And I was oh really? I thought it was all right. And you were no, it was awful.
Yeah, no,
and I really
hated
it. Thought about it and I was yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty atrocious. Do we want to say what the movie's about? We don't really talk about that very much. Or what the movie's
we can kind of give a general I feel the synopsis is kind of hard. What the hell? It was a not Greek, but
it's
it was some
it's an old.
Is it English?
Old English fairy tale.
Yeah, I don't remember the country of origin, but I know it's a really old fairy tale or tale or myth something. I'm riddle something. I'm not entirely sure, but it's like an old it's a retelling of like an old story, and it's still in like it's in within medieval times, so it's not like a modern retelling or anything. And yeah, that's kind of basically what it is. Like it's like this guy, he's like, oh, I chopped the head off like the Green Knight, and then like I gotta go in like a year so he can do the same thing to me.
And it's pretty much just his journey.
And that's the movie.
From the kingdom that he's from to the Green Knight, and really kind of assessing his life. And like, man, I really am gonna die. And the whole movie, you'd think it's like they'd focus more on like him processing like, oh, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
But no, he really doesn't do that much of thinking about it until like literally the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Also, yeah, we're definitely gonna have spoilers.
Oh yeah, this movie's like this came out like this year, so this movie's gonna have spoilers.
Spoilers.
Heavy spoilers for the Green Knight.
Yeah.
And one other movie
maybe
on
put
this
like
list.
A timestamp or something in the.
Yeah, a timestamp. I'll be like, okay, here's.
Yeah, so here's like when here's like the spoiler section basically.
This is the spoiler section for the Green Knight.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put the timestamp here.
Yeah.
And this is anything past this, and
yeah, but then like so the whole fucking movie was basically like the whole. Almost like it was all a dream type of thing.
Yeah.
Because like so like it's like the first part is like oh that shit happens, and then it's like it fast forwards basically to the year of like the end of the year, like when he's supposed to go meet the Green Knight, and it's like okay sure, and then we follow him like going from his village to go after the Green Knight, and then there's like a few things that happens, but it's like all right.
He gets like a cum belt. And then like a
no, that was after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because like I think I don't remember.
There's a lot of stuff.
No, that was definitely after. I don't know if he goes to the house or not at the beginning, or if that was after. Like
that was near the end where he goes to like the castle with the girl.
Yeah, that was definitely after. Like, so he goes and he meets up with the Green Knight, and he's like. And the Green Knights are like, all right, I'm gonna cut your head off because that's what you did to me. And he's like. No, I'm not going to do that. And then he just, like, leaves. And then a bunch of shit happens.
It's, like, a montage of, like, what happens in the coming years of him becoming, like, a king or something. Because his, like...
Yeah, he, like, becomes the king. Because, like, people are like, oh, he's so brave to go face the Green Knight. And he came back alive. And it's like, okay.
And then it turns out that it's like, oh, he just, like, ends up, like, killing himself at the end. And then it jumps back to right before the Green Knight cuts his head off. He's like, you know what? Actually, yeah, I'm going to die. And then the movie just ends.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
Oh, no, he does get the belt before because he takes it off.
Yeah, because the girl, like, gives it to him, remember?
Yeah, no, so for me, I'll kind of go into, like, my thought process of, like, because I already said I hated it. It was just very up its own ass and like really really pretentious, like to the point where it was like too much for me, and that's saying something because I like a lot of pretentious
we
ass
both
movies.
Like pretentious stuff,
so we're just like oh yeah, A24 is amazing, and I mean they got a lot of pretentious stuff.
Your favorite director's David Lynch, and like it's like you live off of pretentious stuff in a way. Like you like the really like out there stuff, and I like the really out there stuff.
Yeah, no, I don't mind something being like kind of up its own ass. Like there's other movies on this list that we're gonna talk about that are also kind of like that, but I liked them more than The Green Knight. But it's just like it was like too long for what it was trying to tell. Mm-hmm. Like it felt very stretched out.
Yeah, it was like 2.5 hours. And there really
wasn't that much content in the movie to justify the time length, in my opinion. And it's like it's so damn forgettable. Like I keep being like, oh yeah, we watched that, because like there's like very few memorable things that happen in the movie.
Yeah.
And like no, I just the whole time we were watching it, I was like, is this almost over? And it was not.
Yeah, I really sucks for me though, because I really wanted to see the movie. Like I remember telling you when that first trailer dropped in like early 2020 that I was like, I'm gonna see this movie in theaters. I'm gonna see this movie in theaters because I really wanted to see that movie.
Pre-COVID times.
Yeah. So like, I was severely disappointed by that movie because of just how just pretentious it was, and I like most of the things I like will be considered like pretentious,
right?
But like, no, I agree with Jess. Is just like, it's just it just takes itself way too damn seriously, and not enough to be like, oh, this means something. It's just like, it doesn't really paint a full picture of like what the story is trying to tell, or what message is trying to tell about the story itself. So I was just severely disappointed by the whole movie itself.
Right.
Also, I want to say this now, since I forgot to mention it in the beginning. We are in a new recording spot, so if you hear anything different, like me stumbling over my words this now, someone just came in, so we're just like, not now. So
just like, we're recording.
Yeah. So no. So yeah, if you hear anything weird, that's why. Just want a heads up. But no, I was very disappointed in The Green Knight.
Well, okay, I think we talked mostly about like the things that we didn't like. Is there anything that you did like?
The visuals were really good. Like,
I thought
honestly,
the color palette and the cinematography was really good.
I loved how each area had its own color palette.
Yeah, it was really cool. Also, like, weirdly, like stuff like the costume design and stuff like that all looked pretty good. Like, it wasn't anything that was like super mind-blowing, amazing or whatever, but like it didn't look like cheap and shitty. So, you know, it looked good. It looked like, yeah, all right, this is stuff that like medieval people would wear.
I was impressed by the Green Knight itself's like costume design.
Oh yeah.
His costume was so cool. And I don't
know how they did the effects on him.
I don't think he was effects at all. I think he was just like a straight up costume.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I don't know. Well, I mean, that would still be like kind of effects. It just wouldn't be like CG or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how they did the effects on him, but he looked really good.
He did look
like
really good.
Any effects that they used looked good. The movie looked gorgeous. Like the
Yeah.
whole look of everything was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the cast was pretty good. I don't think anybody was like amazing in the movie, but like Dev Patel, he's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
he's in stuff.
I don't remember who else is in that movie.
Not really anyone else of notice besides Dev Patel.
I don't remember who else is in it. I know there was like other people, but I honestly can't remember because like nobody really left much of an impression on me.
Yeah.
But I mostly was like, yeah, I want to watch this because I like A24, and most of the movies that A24 puts out, I generally like.
Yeah.
So, I was like, oh, okay, I'm expecting to be like, yeah, okay, this movie was at least, okay, if not really good, and I, even like pretentious movies that A24 puts out, like The Lighthouse.
Oh my God.
The Lighthouse is great.
Yeah.
I love that
movie's
movie.
Amazing.
But this movie gave me like nothing, and that's kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Let's hope that what is it, Lamb is better, because I'm like I'm trying not to get too hopeful about that movie. But no, I'm really looking forward to Lamb because that one looks really good.
No, I also
doesn't the Green Knight have like a really crazy like Rotten Tomato score?
Oh yeah, here I can look it up. No, I just want to like, and the other thing that I had kind of an issue with was really like the pacing.
Oh yeah.
The pacing was really like, it was a bunch of shit happened and then like super fucking slow, and it like, it was kind of a slog to get through because it was just so.
Wasn't it like 2.5 hours?
It was 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Okay.
So it wasn't even like that long, but it was.
It felt long.
Okay, hang on. I'm looking it up so then you can see both.
It's all good.
Okay, so the critics gave it an 88 and audience gave it a 50.
Okay, I definitely agree more with the 50.
Yeah.
That critic score is a little high.
It's got to be for like cinematography and stuff, because that's
Literally,
like the
that
best
has
part
to
of the
be
movie.
it. Like, that movie has nothing really going for it aside from like looks and its atmosphere and its camera work and its costume design.
I felt bored when I was watching it.
No, same.
Like, I was like,
sorry, our cat's getting into something.
Gigi.
It's okay. She's just sitting in there.
All right. Yeah, no, I just felt incredibly bored watching the movie, and you know, it even the cinematography and stuff like that wasn't enough to save it for me.
Oh no.
Cuz I'm a big sucker for like cool cinematography and stuff like that, and like like I said, the look of it is so like astounding, and I think that's really its only saving grace, but it's not enough to save it as a movie.
Cinematography cannot save a movie alone.
No.
So
what would you rate it out of 10?
Fucking like 5 or 6, maybe not even that high.
I would give it like a 2 out of 10.
Yeah, like
and that 2 is cinematography like alone, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because just.
So yeah, Green Knight wasn't very good. Sorry, I mean if you like it, great. But like,
yeah, I know. Like I said, I know a lot of people. It seems to be like decently polarizing, but I've heard a lot of people be like, "Oh, this movie is really good." I'm just not one of those people that thought it was.
I've seen the people be like, "It's so deep," and it's like, what did we watch the same movie? It's
really though.
It's just a guy. It's literally just scenery and very. I don't know. I just didn't get it. It's just not for me, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of. I mean, for me, also, like, it's technically a fantasy movie.
Yeah.
And I've stated many times before on this podcast, fantasy is just not my genre. So going into it, I was kind of like, all right. I was kind of hoping that they were gonna lean into more of like the adventure aspect, if you will, rather than the fantasy.
And I love fantasy movies. Like, I'm the opposite. I love fantasy movies, and I was severely disappointed by the whole movie.
Yeah, so it was kind of like, I don't know who this movie's for.
It's for those.
It's for critics.
It's for critics and the really, really like higher than us, like uppity film snob guys, like the really up there guys.
Oh yeah.
Like, we're up there, but we're not like looking at a toilet being like, I could buy that for fucking like $50,000 as an art piece.
This is true art.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No. So yeah. Green Knight wasn't very good. All
right.
But on to our next movie.
Yeah.
Which will be another extremely hot take, like scolding take.
No,
No?
No, yeah, it's a little early.
Oh, I wrote that down wrong. Okay.
The next movie we watched is also a new movie, so there is going to be like a spoiler section for the Malignant.
Malignant?
Yeah,
that's the one. Watched... I thought, okay, we'll watch Malignant. We'll talk about Malignant now.
Yeah, that's we watched that after, like, that was the.
Oh no, yeah, you're right.
Never mind, you're right. We watched The Godfather the day after.
You're right. So okay, no, yeah, Malignant, the new James Wan horror movie that came out this last month by James Wan, the director of Insidious, Saw, and the Conjuring movies.
Yes.
This is his new IP. I think it's only going to be a single movie, but
yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I'll say there were like a lot of things about it that I did like, and there were some things about it that I didn't.
Oh yeah.
I liked. So it was very like tonally, it was kind of all over the place. Like it felt unsure of what it was, and then it kind of went like crazy in that last act. But that first part felt like very standard James Wan-esque film with the whole like gray blue color palette, and it's like, oh, potentially supernatural like scares going on, and it felt very like in line with what he's already done.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would be from what you would expect. I'm not a big James Wan person. I've pretty much only seen like of his movies, I've only seen like the first Saw movie.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen like Insidious or like the Conjuring movies or anything like that. So I kind of was going into it like I don't really know what to expect. I'm not a big fan of like possession movies in general, and I know like there's some of that in those, but I'm probably gonna watch the Conjuring movies at some point anyways because it is October. So I'm like, all right.
Me, on the other hand, I would say I'm a newly born James Wan fan.
Right.
Because I remember I was watching my my aunt's house, one of my relatives' houses, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll watch the Conjuring movies. And I really like them. Like, I was expecting to really not like them because the new one had just come out, The Devil Made Me Do It. It's okay. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
But I watched all three of them, and they were I like them a lot. Like, I honestly did like them a lot. And I do like the first Saw, and I do like the first Insidious, and those are the only ones that I've seen.
Oh yeah, I forgot Insidious had a sequel at one point.
It has like 4 sequels.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be doing another one, I think.
Or kid possessed. Does that really warrant 4 sequels?
I don't know what happens. All I've seen is the first one. But no. No, I'm a pretty like I like James Wan. Like I've been like, yeah, you know what? I do like him. So I was really interested in Malignant. And
I'll say it is cool that like he is such a high profile like director, and he's, of color. He's Asian.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that's that's really cool to see. It's always cool to see like big like especially in the world of directors, because I feel like directors are pretty much always exclusively white men.
Yeah, it's like you got James Wan, you got
Bong Joon-ho.
You got what's his name? Get Out.
Oh, Jordan Peele.
And then like Spike Lee, and like that's it.
Spike Lee. There's more.
There's more. It's just like the really high profile ones.
I'm kind of drawing like a blank. But yeah, no, it's like, directors that you hear get mentioned by name a lot is what I kind of say of what I would consider high profile, because it's like, somebody that you would actually follow their work. It wouldn't just be like, like random director that doesn't really, that just kind of does whatever random movies or whatever. It's like directors that people would follow their work, like high profile enough to be mentioned by name a lot.
Yeah.
And it is cool to see like, more people of color get kind of thrown into that stratosphere of like being talked about by name like that, and being able to like continue to make these high profile films, and yeah, so I'll kind of say that rather than go into a complete tangent about it.
Yeah, so
but, yeah, it's cool.
But
I'll say that.
But Malignant was a very interesting movie that I liked a lot. Well, not a lot, but like I liked it. Yeah. I liked it more than Green Knight, but that's not saying much. No, Malignant was fun. It was fun. I'll say that.
Yeah, it was
really campy and stupid, but it was fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so
synopsis.
Yeah, we'll kind of go into the synopsis at this point.
Also, spoiler warning since this movie is brand new.
All right, timestamp
right now, and it'll be in the description or something.
Right.
I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
But
yeah, it's kind of like this woman. Well, okay, so they start off with like there's like some sort of experiment going on, like some sort of like human experiments or something. We don't really fully see the extent of it.
Yeah.
And then, like people die during it, and that's pretty much what we see. But then we kind of go towards like present day, and it's this woman, and she's pregnant, and she gets into an altercation with her abusive husband and gets her head smacked against the wall, and eventually ends up miscarrying.
Yeah.
Because of his actions, but he mysteriously gets like straight up murdered in the middle of the night by like a really fucking gruesome way, and nobody really knows what's going on because they're like, there's, like she couldn't have done this, because it was like
she's in the hospital.
So fucking gruesome. Well, she was there, but it was so gruesome that it was like, like it didn't make sense. But it also couldn't have just been like a fall or anything, so it was obvious that somebody did it. So they were like, oh, it's gonna be like this intruder or whatever, and it's pretty much just trying to figure out what the hell's going on because there's, you know,
Murders going on.
murders going on. Yeah, essentially.
And they're all like these doctors from this hospital
yeah,
that this woman that, you know, was around is like mysteriously connected to all these murders in some way because she's like supposedly from this hospital in some way.
Right. Yeah, we just don't entirely know what's going on. But, you know, it's kind of uncovered throughout the movie, and then it turns out that she was like an orphan that got adopted from this hospital. Or not an orphan, but she was given up by her mother and was given to this hospital, and a bunch of bonkers shit happens from there.
Yeah, and it turns out that, spoiler alert, I'll say this one more time. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
That she has a conjoined parasitic twin that feeds off her brain and gives her, I would say, murderous tendencies.
Well, it's not really her that's committing the murders. Yeah, it's the twin basically taking control of her body.
Yeah, taking control of her body and killing these people
that wronged them or him.
That both of them.
Yes.
And it turns out in the past that they tried to remove him from her brain, but he's connected to her brain, so they can't take her out completely. So every once in a while he'll come, and because her head got smashed into the wall by her abusive ex, he was awakened and thus unleashed into the world and forced to, or you know, take his revenge on the doctors and people that wronged him in the past.
Yeah.
It's some Sam Raimi bonkers shit. Like,
yeah, it really went from like a standard sort of new horror movie like James Wan style to like literally very over the top, and it was
Sam Raimi.
Like, and
like
you said you said that he was inspired by Basket Case, right?
Yeah, he said he was inspired by Basket Case.
Yeah, so that movie is very, very campy. So it's kind of that same sort of thing there where it's like really, really over the top fun campiness that you would expect from like older horror movies, and I feel like we don't see that very often anymore. I feel like most of the time it's like horror movies are like they take themselves too seriously, or it's just straight up a horror comedy, and there's like no.
People don't really even make horror comedies anymore. They just are just like horror movies are just like, this is so serious and like there's no funniness in it.
Yeah, it feels like there's like not that much fun with horror anymore. So this was kind of a nice like breath of fresh air for that.
It was just so entertaining to see fucking, you know, because there's literally a scene where she like transforms into like the killer and like the parasitic twin.
Yeah,
she like rips off the back of her scalp and like the face comes out of it, and she just like starts murdering like a bunch of cops. It's like,
yeah, and he'll like walk backwards in her body, and basically like the back of her body is like what he takes control over.
It's insane shit.
It's wild. The effects are really cool.
Yeah, not great, but they're cool. They're cool.
And there's like one scene where it's like basically like he's fighting against like a bunch of like cops and shit, and that was wild.
Yeah,
that scene was crazy.
It's like
that was like something out of like a John Wick movie.
It fucking really was like really. Also, I want to like, there's like this fucking weird ass like cover that pops up every few minutes throughout the movie. It's the fucking like orchestral cover of Where Is My Mind.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I remember I was watching it, I turned the Jess and I was like, is that fucking Where Is My Mind? And it's like, yeah, it is Where Is My Mind. This isn't fucking Fight Club. So like it was just like, huh, all right. I mean, I see why they chose that now, but it's still like, it's just.
It seemed like a strange choice.
It was just the seeds planted for the more campiness that happened later in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's literally like the theme of the movie, and it'll come up every so often. It's just like, what? So like, no, it was fun.
Yeah. Is there anything that you kind of were like, about with it?
I mean, what I'll say is that like what a lot of people are saying, it's like the first half is very, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
It's very convoluted. Like,
And it's like I said, tonally it's really kind of all over the place because it'll just kind of go everywhere.
yeah.
So it's kind of hard to like keep track and know what's going on and stuff because it's like it's hard to kind of discern everything that's going on, you know.
Yeah, it's like I was gonna say, they're like they reveal a bunch of plot points, like in like right before,
Yeah.
like right before like the crazy stuff happens, and it's very like, wait, what's going on? Wait, okay, so it's like a lot of
Yeah.
it's like an info dump, like all of a sudden.
Yeah,
and so
pretty much, and it's like, okay, all this shit, all right, and then you just kind of gotta be like, okay, yeah, no, and it feels very, it changes genre about 3 or 4 times at least.
Really, it really does.
So tonally, it's really, really all over the place. And the other thing is that like honestly, like as you know, as like oh, you know, it changes so often and it's very like choppy, but like I kind of just keep forgetting that I watched it.
Yeah, honestly,
Like,
same.
you know, it was fun and everything, but like I literally will just kind of be like, oh yeah, we watched that. I completely spaced that, you know, because it was like,
But then you think about it and you're like, oh yeah, that was fun.
yeah, it was fun when you think about it, but it just doesn't pop up in my mind like ever. So it was kind
Yeah.
of just like,
Which is
all right, like I remember more of it than I would remember, say, like The Green Knight, or you know, there's other movies on this list that like I definitely would forget about more often than Malignant, but like it wasn't the most memorable movie ever.
No, but like you said, it was very refreshing to have like
Yeah.
a just campy ass horror movie that just went off the fucking rails
Yeah.
for like no reason.
Yeah.
It's just so nice to see like a horror movie that doesn't like take itself so seriously and like sniff its own farts and shit. So like it's nice to see that. And I hope James Wan does more for this, or does more stuff like this.
Yeah, do more like one-offs and stuff, because I feel like
Yeah.
everything ends up being some kind of series and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah, because like Harry Potter and Star Wars and Marvel and DC.
well, yes, but I mean, even when it comes to James Wan, it's like, you know, Saw, that's a whole series, and
Conjuring,
I mean, yeah,
Insidious.
Conjuring, Insidious, even like the Conjuring little Offspring movies.
Yeah, those are bad. I didn't watch those.
Well,
I just watched.
It's still technically within the series though, so it's still like.
Unfortunately.
And those are even series of its own, so it's like.
Like Annabelle, there's like 3 Annabelle movies.
Yeah.
They're not numbered, so it's like this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so it's nice to see him do just kind of like a one-off.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Hopefully one off.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's no Malignant 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Oh my fucking god.
Fucking, what's his name? The parasitic brother.
Gabriel.
Gabriel. Hopefully this is like Malignant 2, The Return of Gabriel. And it's like Evil Dead 2.
Oh my god.
It's like just totally off the rails the whole time. Dude, I would love that. I would fucking love that. Like she's like, I have to bring you out to like we have to do I don't know. Brainstorming sequels here.
Please don't do a sequel.
Please, yeah, and honestly, do not do a sequel to that. But no, yeah. What would you give it out of 10?
I would say somewhere between like a 6.5 to like a 7.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Like, you know, it was fun, it was good, it wasn't like super amazing, but I wouldn't like, you know, like I said, it does kind of like lose points for being kind of like forgettable unless you like go out of your way to think about it, or like if I see it pop up, I'll be like, oh yeah, that movie, but you know, I don't really think about it very often. And there's a lot of movies that will stay in my mind for a long period of time, and this just wasn't one of them. So
no, yeah,
you know, it was fun though. I would watch it again.
Oh yeah, me too.
So yeah.
So then, our next movie that we watched is, man, I just still can't believe we fucking watched this movie. But like, fucking we watched Citizen Kane.
Yeah, finally.
We finally watched fucking Citizen Kane.
Yes.
And
yeah, and it was a movie that neither one of us had seen. Like, we talked about in our classics we'd never seen.
Mm-hmm.
And we were kind of sitting here one day, and I was like, we should just watch Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
Because, like, we need to get it out of the way. Let's just watch it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we watched it, and, like, it was honestly really good.
Yeah, like, no, it was like surprisingly good. I wasn't expecting much because, I don't often watch movies from, like, like the 40s and 30s and stuff like that. I don't watch, like, really, really classic movies like that very often. So, most of the time it's like, I kind of see it and I'm like, oh, it's going to be boring, it's going to be long, it's not going to be, like, paced right, whatever. But I really did not feel that way with Citizen Kane.
Oh, no. Like, I was, like, when we first started watching it, because we watched it, I think, like, a little earlier in the day.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to watch another movie.
Yeah.
But, we watched it, and I was, like, a little tired when we started it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was watching it, I was like, man, I just gotta fucking finish this movie.
Yeah.
I'm just so interested in it.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly was just so, like encapsulated in this movie, and, like,
yes,
I just kept having to tell myself, and, like, I kept reminding Jess, I was like, this movie was made in the 40s.
Yeah, it was made in 1941.
This movie was made in 1941. That is, and, like, a lot of the stuff they do was very, very impressive.
Like, yeah, like, a lot of the, like, just the shooting techniques and stuff like that were really, like, interesting for that time period, because it's not something that you would see very often.
No, yeah.
Especially, with, like, they only had, like, so much technology available, but, like, the way that they would shoot certain scenes or, like, certain shots were lined up or whatever, and it was just, like, really, really interesting to look at, like, genuinely interesting to look at.
There were so
even
many,
by today's standards.
Yeah, there were a lot of, like, camera tricks, and I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? Like,
yeah.
I was like, wait, how the fuck did they, like, do that in the fucking 40s?
Literally.
Like, there's just, I don't know. Like, I can see why people say it's, like, the first modern movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it really seems that way. Like, it really seems like this was, like, the first big step in, like, cinema achievements.
Definitely. And, I mean, it is a classic for a reason. I just, I kind of tried to go into it not expecting much, because I was like, oh, I don't know that that's going to hold up as great as it did.
Yeah,
I would honestly, like, if it, like, I think that it still holds up as just, like, a great movie, even by today's standards.
Exactly.
Like, it's very timeless.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing the whole time watching it. I was like, this just is a good movie, and I will watch this movie again, because this was actually
it's just a great movie.
Really good.
Like, the story is interesting enough to keep you invested throughout the whole movie, pretty much. Like, it wanes a little bit in the middle, I noticed, but, it's really, like, overall, like, the story keeps you invested throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, even though
it's it's like, it's a 2-hour movie, which is, I mean, I suppose standard time for, like, movies or whatever, but, I mean,
back in the day,
yeah, it was like, I was expecting it to be, like, paced worse than it was, but it was paced really well.
It was paced extremely well, I might add. It was like, well, the music was really good. The acting also was really, really good. Orson Welles
was,
like, a great job.
Yeah, he did a great job
as the lead. He did really good.
And I mean, obviously he directed the movie.
Yeah, he directed it too.
He was only 26 when he directed it.
Which is just
wild.
Yeah, fucking 26. I'm fucking 25, and I feel like I've done nothing with my life. While fucking Orson Welles is just like, let me just make the fucking world's greatest movie out of fucking pocket.
Literally.
It's like, dude.
Yeah, no, and it's honestly just, like, really watchable. Like, you can literally just sit down and be like, yeah, I can just watch this.
Yeah.
Like, it's not one of those movies where it's like, oh, I have to be in, like, a mind or, like, a certain, like, frame of mind to watch it. Like, you could just kind of sit down and watch it.
It's an extremely easy to watch movie.
Yeah, extremely.
It's super easy to just, like, sit down and get into.
Also, the makeup was really good.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that they, like, aged, like, a lot of the characters that are, like, in the movie.
Yeah,
because
like, they kept the same actors throughout like the whole movie, and they age over time and stuff, and it was like, the people like the makeup was just really really good, especially for being in the 40s. And I know like there's certain like things to shooting in black and white which make it a little easier in some aspects, but it's like they only had so much to work with back in 1941 to do stuff like that, and it was just really really good.
Like I was like shocked on like how much I liked it, honestly.
Yeah, same. I thought it was just a good movie all around.
I can see why people renowned it as like one of the best ever. Yeah, because like it
completely
was
agree.
Yeah, first modern movie. Yeah,
I completely agree
now.
What would you give it out of 10?
Honestly, I'd give it like an 8 or 9.
Yeah, I'm thinking like a 9.5.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it seems right to me because, like, like I said, it does like wane a little bit in the middle. And that's kind of mainly what I would ding it for. But other than that, like, it was just, it's a great
that random
movie.
ass jump scare that fucking woke me up, like for sure. There's
the
like
cockatiel.
There's a fucking random ass cockatiel, and they're like in the middle of a scene, and they're talking about like how they're building like, this place like in like Peru or somewhere, and then like it's just like. And it's just like, like a screaming bird. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Why is there just a screaming bird? And it comes out of nowhere and it never comes back. And it's like, all right, cool. You just scared the entire audience for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
But no, great movie.
Yes.
I'm so glad I watched it. Cause
same.
I was not expecting to like it as much as I did.
Yeah, same here. Like, honestly, if you haven't seen it, definitely watch it.
Oh, definitely watch it. If you're a film buff, please go watch Citizen Kane. Like,
I mean, I'm sure most people have that are like film buffs.
Oh yeah,
if you haven't, give it a watch because it's genuinely just a good movie.
Yeah. And then
the other classic.
we watched right after that, we watched The Godfather.
Part 1.
Only.
We did not have time for Part 2.
We did not have time for Part 2.
So we just watched Part 1.
Yeah, we just watched Part 1, and
so it's what, like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, something like that.
I think it's like almost 3 hours, or I think it is 3 hours.
Yeah, I think it's 3 hours. So it's it's a pretty lengthy boy.
Yeah. I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was so fucking boring.
we get the hot takes today. This is like.
And so for me, I like mafia stories for the most part, right? Like, I think Goodfellas is a great movie. We watching, I've watched all Sopranos. It's a great show.
Watching Sopranos.
Great show. So
great,
it's like
show.
Most mob movies and stuff like that I have seen, I've been like, yes, it's a good movie.
Yes.
Or a good show or a good whatever, and I'm
good
like,
media.
all right, yeah, because I feel like it's just like interesting. But I was just bored, and that's honestly what sucked mostly, is because like I really just thought it was just bland and boring. Like, the cinematography was also very like kind of the same exact color palette and way of shooting throughout the whole movie, so the look never really changed.
Yeah.
And I felt like it made it harder to sit through.
Which is interesting, because I just thought about this since you said that.
Mm-hmm.
Citizen Kane back in 1941 had more interesting cinematography.
Yeah.
Than The Godfather.
Yeah.
That came out like 30 years later.
Yeah. Something like that.
Which is interesting because it's black and white, and it was made in the 40s.
Yeah.
And the cinematography in The Godfather was just so boring.
It was just incredibly boring.
Like, the acting, though, acting was decent. I will say acting was good. The story was
Marlon Brando was really good.
Yeah, Marlon Brando is, like, GOAT of mafia stories. Like, great.
Yeah, yeah.
But, like, it was just so uninteresting.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're going to get a lot of hate for that, but we did not like The Godfather.
Yeah, it's like that fucking audio from Family Guy.
I did not care for The Godfather.
Yeah, literally. I didn't think I was going to actually relate to that.
No, for real. I was like, there's no way I'm not going to like The Godfather. I did not care for The Godfather.
Yeah, no. I For once, Peter Griffin was right.
Yeah, fucking.
No, I will say, I think one thing that also didn't add to the experience was we had like technical issues
Oh
with.
yeah.
So first, it took us a while to even find it on anything.
Yeah, it's like not on anything.
So we eventually like we have between the two of us we have like 4 or 5 streaming services. We have Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Disney Plus, and then like the free ones, fucking what's the one?
Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi. And then there's like Peacock is free, but so we found it, and it wasn't even on Amazon Prime. Oh yeah, I also have Amazon Prime. But yeah, it wasn't even on Amazon Prime like anything unless we wanted to rent it, and we were like, no, I don't want to do that. So it was on Peacock. So we were like, all right, we'll just get a free trial of Peacock so we can watch this movie. And then we did that, and the subtitles were like really tiny and in black, and the movie's kind of dark.
And you can't change the settings.
Yeah, so we couldn't read the subtitles, and it made it really, really hard to pay attention to
And
because
the movie's also really quiet.
It is really quiet, but it made it hard to pay attention to because we're the type of people that kind of need to have subtitles on for pretty much anything that we're watching.
Yeah.
It's just easier to make it follow. It's just easier to follow along for pretty much everybody that we watch movies or shows or whatever with. Like,
Yeah.
It's just easiest on everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it made it really hard to watch. So eventually we were like, okay, we need to find a different way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So then we had to find it on F Movies.
Yeah, by other means, I'll just say. So so we watched it on there, which had correct subtitles and everything.
Yeah, which was fine. But we had all these technical difficulties, and if anybody's watched anything on F Movies, it's like that you can have some connection errors sometimes.
Yeah,
And it definitely
yeah.
like buffered and paused a lot. And we had to pause it a couple of times to go take care of a few things, like, whatever. And
So yeah, I will
Yeah,
say
it
we
was-
weren't paying like 100% of attention. But
well,
it was...
I wouldn't say that, because when we did have the movie playing, we were paying attention to
That's
it.
right, yeah.
It just, we had to stop it a lot.
Mhm.
Which that's not the fault of the movie.
No, it's
Obviously,
not.
like the technical errors and stuff like that is
Yeah.
not the fault of the movie. But we tried originally to start it at like 3, and we didn't end up finishing it until like 10.
Yeah.
So
There was a lot
there's a
going
lot of
on.
stuff going on, and like the technical errors really didn't add to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I just felt really underwhelmed
Yeah.
like the whole time, and it was just kind of sad because I wanted to like this movie. I really wanted to like this movie.
No, I did too. I just like, it's a classic for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people talk about it and people say it's like amazing for reasons, and people
Right.
say like the sequel's better. But man, watching that first one,
It's
really
it
doesn't
yeah, it
help
doesn't make me
want
want to
it.
be like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's watch 2. Like, I do eventually at one point or another want to watch the sequels, especially 2, because that's
Yeah.
the one that everybody really likes. And I do want to see it just so I can be like, all right, I've seen these, and just kind of form my opinion from there. But yeah, 1 was just not for me. Like, I just thought it was really boring. And I don't have like a super short attention span or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can watch slow movies, like like The Fucking Lighthouse, like we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
There's movies that I can watch where there's not a lot happening all the time, and I can watch older and slower movies and stuff like that and be like, all right, sure. But it just, I don't know, it just didn't really. Like, there was a few scenes that are like really iconic for a reason, obviously.
Yeah.
Like the horse head.
The horse head,
That's like,
Don Corleone's like assassination attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes from that movie that are just like super iconic.
yeah.
So like, those scenes are good,
Yeah, those scenes are really good.
but
But that's kind of the best part of the movie, is just those scenes,
Yeah.
and then like the acting was pretty good.
yeah, the only thing I had prior knowledge of before watching the movie was really just the game. And I know that's like the PS2 game back in like 2006 or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I knew about the game.
Right.
So I knew about some of these scenes, and I wanted to watch The Godfather for the longest time.
Right.
But now that I've seen it, it's just like, I really don't really have an urge to watch it again.
Yeah.
Because it was just so uninteresting.
Yeah, it was just, it was hard
yeah,
to...
it was really hard to watch.
Yeah, it was really, really hard to watch. And, you know, when watching it, I'm just like, you know, at that point, why the hell am I not just watching Goodfellas or The Sopranos?
Exactly.
Which I like a lot better and is more entertaining.
Like, there's a lot more going on.
Yeah. And it just, you know, it just makes me want to watch Goodfellas or The Sopranos instead. So, yeah, I was very, very disappointed.
Yeah, I was really disappointed by it too, unfortunately.
What would you rate it out of 10?
I'd give it like a 4 because like Al Pacino is good.
Yeah.
Marlon Brando is good. The acting for the most part in the movie is really good.
Right.
But everything else, and the theme is really good.
Well, yeah.
But that's iconic. But like everything else, it just falls so flat. For me at least, it just like just is so like a lot of the plot is just so uninteresting. Like the most interesting plot is like finished in like a couple like in like the first act.
Yeah.
With Don Corleone's assassination. That's like finished in like the first like 45 minutes to an hour. It's so like it's just it's really boring.
Yeah.
Like every other side plot's just like really, really uninteresting.
Yeah. I would probably give it like a 2.5 or a 3.
Ooh, yeah.
Like it really didn't leave much of a good taste in my mouth. Like, you know, the theme is really good, and, you know, Al Pacino's... I feel like Al Pacino's probably better in 2, because I feel like they just didn't give him a lot to do in the first one. Because he's just kind of like, I'm a guy, I don't want to be involved in the mafia. Now I'm involved in the mafia. And,
yep.
All right.
That's it.
Marlon Brando was amazing. You know, he...
Super iconic role.
Yeah, it's super iconic for a reason. And that's... Yeah. It just... Yeah, other than that, it was kind of like, it didn't need to be nearly as long as it was.
No.
Like, you could have cut the movie in half.
Literally.
And it would have been better significantly.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes that I'm just like, okay, why are we talking about this? For real, why are we talking about this? I don't understand.
See, and you know, like, there's a lot of like random shit like that in like Sopranos.
Yeah.
You know, like they'll just kind of be like, oh, here's like this scene of like them talking about some shit that's like, why the hell are they talking about this? All right.
But it's fun.
But it's the atmosphere is like completely different.
Yeah, because like not a knock on the characters, but like the characters in Sopranos are just so enjoyably stupid at times. They're just like, okay, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, why are you talking about it like that?
But it feels like with Sopranos, like all the characters are pretty decently, like, they have their own personality.
Yeah.
Even, you know, even if you watched only like the first like episode or two, it's like all these characters have their own individual personality. It's like, all right, sure. Because, you know, I'm not going to compare an entire series to one movie, because I don't think that's fair.
No, it's not.
But, you know, even if you just watch like an episode or 2 or 3, because that would be about the same length as The Godfather.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's A, more going on, and B, there's like the characters are just a lot more entertaining.
Yeah.
Or, you know, something like Goodfellas, it's like, you know, once again, the characters are a lot more entertaining, and they're more like, their personalities are more carved out, but it kind of just felt like...
With Godfather, it's just like, we're just mob men.
Yeah, it didn't really feel like... I didn't really feel very much, like, in the way of motivation for really any of the characters, or, like, personality in general.
And it's like, oh, we gotta protect the boss. It's like, okay, why I gotta protect the boss, though?
Yeah, it's like, there was just no... You know, and I get it's like, oh, it's like, you know, for the familia. Yeah. Oh, yeah, also, you know, Golden Wind. That's another great mob story.
Oh, yeah, Golden Wind is another... Really
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Venturo or Golden Wind. Yeah. Why? Honestly, yeah, you can't go wrong with like a mob story and pretty much
Yeah.
anything, and that's why it was so damn disappointing. Because I was like,
Yeah.
this is supposed to be like the OG king of all mob stories, and it just wasn't.
Yeah. I think Goodfellas is a better movie than Godfather, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Like if you're gonna watch a mob movie, I would recommend Goodfellas over Godfather.
Yeah, or if you want to
Because
watch a
like
show, watch Sopranos. Sopranos is
yeah,
a
Sopranos. Honestly,
fantastic
just watch
show.
Sopranos anyway because it's a great
Yeah.
show. um,
Yeah.
but like yeah, no, I of any like mob movies or whatever, just honestly just watch fucking Goodfellas
Yeah, for real.
or like Casino or something. But I haven't seen Casino.
Yeah, I have not seen Casino.
But
Um, yeah.
yeah, no, Godfather was very disappointing.
Yes, it was. And that is a very, very hot take. I
Yes.
can't wait to see what people say in the comments.
Yes.
So next up is hold on. What did we watch after that? Did we watch Squid and the Whale or Pleasantville next?
We watched Squid and the Whale next.
Okay. I'm sure you'll have a lot more to say about this than I will.
Okay, so yeah, so I think it was the day after.
Yeah, it was
we watched the Godfather.
It was the day after.
We're kind of like sitting there like, all right, let's watch. Let's watch a movie. Let's try to find something that's no. It was after the Godfather. It was the same day. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was just later on.
Because we were like up and we're like, wow, that sucked.
Yeah, no, and we were kind of like, okay, well, let's watch, like, we want to watch another movie, but something a little shorter.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was only like an hour and a half or something.
It was literally like an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was something, it was like decently short. So we were like, all right. And, so I feel like, we can't talk about this without talking about, Noah Baumbach, his other movie. The only other movie that either one of us has seen at this point was Marriage Story.
Yeah.
I watched it a couple years ago. And we have very differing opinions on that movie.
We'll talk a minute. I like Marriage Story, but I can see your kind of distaste for it.
I do not like Marriage Story. I think that it is very. There's nothing, like, it's just rich people complaining about getting a divorce. And it's like, the movie is like, tries to be like, oh, it's an impartial movie, but like, obviously they side with Adam Driver. Like, none of the characters are really all that likable either. And, like, yeah, no, it just was like, they like sided with Adam Driver's character, like, so much to the point where it's like, he's like, oh, I'm like, he's an asshole and he does these things, but he's like, oh, but I'm actually like still the good guy and stuff like that. And they still kind of villainize Scarlett Johansson's character, even though it's like the movie tries to remain impartial. Like, it's obvious that it isn't.
Yeah.
And, that's probably because of like, it's about Noah Baumbach's own divorce. So, of course he's going to have opinions, but, it just, Marriage Story, I just felt like was just not a good movie. I feel like everybody's like, oh, this movie was so good. Like, it was, it won a bunch of Oscars and shit. And
yeah.
Adam Driver gave a really good performance.
Yes, he did.
I generally like Adam Driver. Even though I don't care about like Star Wars and stuff, I think he seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
He is a good actor. I just don't care for the movie. And, I thought Laura Dern was really good in it. But, yeah, that's pretty much the only compliments I can give that movie. Because, like, I did not care for Marriage Story.
Yeah, and, I can see exactly what you're saying. And I agree with what you're saying. I just, it is a very competently made film.
I'll agree with that.
Very well-made film.
I'll agree with that. Like, it definitely feels very professional and put together.
Yeah,
I'll agree with that.
That's what I really like about the movie. It's like it's a very, very well made movie.
But if I just want to watch a movie about divorce, I'll just watch like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like,
there's so much other like things about divorce, and it's just like, and I feel like that's a good segue into talking about the actual movie that we watched, which was Squid and the Whale.
Yeah, which is the same movie as
basically the same exact plot.
It's literally the same movie as fucking A Marriage Story, but a little poorer.
So, okay. So, the difference for me, Like, the plot is basically the exact same, but it was made, like, you know, like, fucking 10 years earlier, at least. Or 15 years earlier.
It was like 2005 or something.
Yeah, it was in like the early 2000s. And so it was made like a lot earlier, and it was like basically the same story, but the way that it was told was like completely different.
Yeah.
So, you know, with Marriage Story, it focused kind of more on like the relationship with like Adam Driver's character and Scarlett Johansson's character. But with Squid and the Whale, it was kind of more about like mostly the father, but also the mother, like their relationships with their kids and also each other. And there was kind of like more of a general dysfunctional like family dynamic.
Yeah.
But for me, I liked this movie a lot more than I liked Marriage Story because it had more of this aura of being like self-aware because all of the characters are complete assholes.
Oh my god, yeah.
And they don't skew it in any way to where anybody's in a favorable light. Like they're all just assholes.
Everyone in that movie is terrible.
Like there's nobody good there to root for. But they don't like to pretend that there is. They don't put one parent in a better light than the other, which I feel like they did with Marriage Story. This movie, they don't. There's just like, yeah, the dad's a fucking asshole and the mom's a fucking asshole and like the kids are both assholes, and it's just like that's pretty much it.
No one's on the good side in this movie.
Yeah.
Who stars in it? Isn't it Jesse Eisenberg?
Jesse Eisenberg, Jeff Daniels, and I think Laura Linney is the mom.
What is she in?
She's in a lot of shit.
Okay.
I will look it up.
Okay, well, while you're looking that up, I will say thank you guys so much for watching. This isn't the end of the video, but I will say that it's your continued support is appreciated. I noticed we've been getting traction on our Instagram page, which I am very thankful for. I don't know if anybody else from our Instagram is watching. I'll let you know. There's a link in the bio of our Instagram. We were on a short break for a bit because we had some issues with scheduling, but whenever this comes out, thank you guys so much for watching because your continued listening is appreciated. Did you get what she's in?
Oh yeah, all kinds of shit.
Oh really?
Truman Show.
What?
Primal Fear. Congo.
Oh my god.
Mystic River, Sully.
What the fuck?
Fucking all kinds of shit.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, she's a pretty seasoned actress.
All right.
Well.
All right.
All
right.
Yeah. It felt more. Also, like the tone between the two of them is like completely different.
Yeah.
Because Marriage Story is like, oh, it's like serious, but Squid and the Whale is funny.
Yeah.
It's like dark. It's like dark comedy, but it's funny. Like they, like a lot of the scenes and stuff like that, like the tone and stuff like that is obviously meant to be played more for laughs. And when we watched it, I kind of described it to like Kit as like, oh, it was kind of like Wes Anderson characters if they were all assholes.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of like they were like funny in a Wes Anderson way. Which he did produce the movie, so that makes sense. But
yeah, which I was like, man, this feels like a Wes Anderson movie. It's produced by Wes Anderson.
Yeah, no, it's like I pretty much said like, oh, Noah Baumbach is like mean Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
No, I liked it. I thought it was a pretty decent movie. Like there was a lot of like the pacing was really like fast paced, which I know you didn't like so much.
Yeah.
But I did because I thought it was like, oh, okay, it's like, for me, it was easy to keep up with. And I was like, all right, yeah. But I know that you had a hard time kind of keeping up with it.
Yeah, it was more of like, it wasn't like I had a hard time keeping up with it. It was more of like, I don't know if, it was like, I felt very stressed out by it.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, all right, this movie needs to slow the fuck down. Like,
right, yeah.
I've never seen a movie like edited like this. It's just literally like a scene with a sentence will end and it's right into the next scene and sentence and it's like, okay, hold on, I need a breather. Like there's no breathing room in this entire movie.
Yeah.
It's just literally like
it's very tightly edited.
Yeah, there's something always going on. There's like no stopping points. There's always something happening. So I was like, all right, I need this movie to stop for 1 second, and it doesn't stop for the entirety of the thing until the credits.
Right.
So,
And I mean, it was like
it was really short. I will say that it was only like an hour and 20 minutes. So it's like it's easy, and I can understand what you mean by like it's like really easy to grasp. But,
I liked the tightness. I liked the like fast pace and like the tightness of the editing and stuff like that. But I see why you didn't. And that's just kind of like a difference in opinion on style that way.
Right.
Because for me, I was like, yeah, no, I liked the like, especially after watching The Godfather, which was like the complete opposite.
Oh my god.
It was so like it needed more editing. It was like, you know, it was like edited really fast paced, and it was like, you know, it's kind of like just like shit happens.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. And that's, you know, there's a lot of stuff like that I do kind of like in that same sort of style.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, it was a welcome, it was a welcome thing for me.
The title was a little up its own ass, though.
Yes.
The title of the movie and like kind of what it meant was like a little up its own ass, but it's Noah Baumbach. He's kind of up his own ass.
I will say that like the movie itself is really, really mean spirited.
Oh my god, and that's something I wanted to kind of bring up is that like I like mean-spirited things sometimes.
Right.
Like one of our favorite shows is Always Sunny.
Yeah.
And that is like one of the most mean-spirited shows. One of the most mean-spirited like shows or anything out there.
Right,
really.
right.
And fucking Sopranos.
Yeah.
That show is all mean-spirited.
Yeah.
But like this show just
or like Breaking Bad.
Or Breaking Bad, yeah. Like you're like this movie just felt so mean. Like to the point where it's just like none of it was like. It's like, okay, this is just, at some points I was like, wow, this just isn't enjoyable. This is just like watching a fucking train wreck.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, that's why I don't mean to like continue like comparing it to Marriage Story, but I feel like I kind of have to.
It's pretty similar.
Because
like,
you know, it is the exact same plot.
Yeah.
It's just told in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, it felt more
down to earth.
It felt more realistic with what divorce can actually feel like than Marriage Story did.
No, yeah.
Because Marriage Story is like,
it's very produced.
Yeah, it feels very like.
It feels very much like a movie.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, maybe part of it does hit a sore spot for you because like you did go through like a big divorce with your parents.
Ouch! I didn't realize that. All right, now I get it. But yeah,
for me, like it doesn't. My parents broke up when I was like 2, so I always grew up with 2 separate homes, and I was very used to that. So for me, it didn't really like hit in that way of like being an older child that had parents that divorced. So you know, obviously that's gonna hit different for some people.
Right.
But you know, it felt more like, yeah, divorce is more. It's either you know, mean, or it's like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
Your divorce is either Squid and the Whale or it's Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah. It's either. Yeah, I agree.
So, you know, like, for me, I enjoyed it. I thought that it was fun, and like I said, I thought that it was funny. It felt very like, if Wes Anderson went through a really bad breakup and was just like, I'm just gonna be an asshole and just write all these asshole characters.
Yeah.
And then like made Marriage Story.
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly what it's like.
So for me, I liked it.
No, I'm like I know I rag on the movie a lot like with you, but like I did enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
It's just like the immense like mean-spiritedness of it is really a deterring point.
Right.
A little bit for me.
Yeah.
And the editing is really, really like a bit of a deterring point for me. But like overall, it's a very, very well-made movie. And
I agree.
I do like a lot of this like story beats and like
Yeah.
a lot of the like, yeah, all the characters are fucking assholes, but a lot of the characters are very like, it's like, yeah, they're human. Like these characters are real. Like
especially like Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh yeah, he's very like plays one of the sons.
Yeah.
He's very much like. I kind of was like that when I was a kid. Like,
yeah.
That's kind of how I was. I was like, man, I fucking hate this because I'm certainly not the other kid. because I'm not going to talk about what happens with the other kid in the other movie, because that shit is disgusting, and we're going to get like banned if we talk about that shit. So just go watch the movie. It's on Netflix.
Yeah. I also liked the acting. I thought everybody did a good job.
Yeah, the acting was really good. Like,
which I want to mention Jeff Daniels specifically because he's in another movie that we watched that's coming up soon too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like I feel like he's kind of an underrated actor.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, he's like in shit. Like, you know, he's in fucking, you know, obviously Dumb and Dumber, and then there's like shit like Arachnophobia, and he's kind of like all over the place.
He's in that.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. It's like I feel like he's always really good.
Mm-hmm.
Just like people just don't talk about him. So like,
wait, isn't he the fucking president of the United States from
No.
Independence Day?
That's Bill Pullman.
Oh yeah. You punched the president? Not when he was the president. Yes, but you punched the president? I don't know. But no, yeah. What would you give it?
I'd probably give it like a 7.5.
7.5?
Yeah.
I'd probably give it like a 6, honestly. Yeah. Like, mine's not too far behind yours, but I just like, there's a couple things about it that I was like, eh.
Right.
But I will say it is a very well-made movie, and I can see why you like it so much. It's very, it's definitely, I can see... Let's see, how do I word this? I can see why you like it more than Marriage Story.
Yeah.
Because Marriage Story, it's like, yes, it's a movie.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. It's a movie.
Marriage Story kind of felt Oscar baity.
That's what I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what term am I
like,
looking for?
You know, it's like, oh, you know, it's like kind of this like it's a movie that's made for critics.
Yeah. Like The Green Knight.
Like The Green Knight, which, you know, hate that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like Marriage Story feels very similar to that, and it's like, you know, it has like, you know, it has the scenes where it's like, wow, you can be blown away by like the acting or whatever, but it's kind of just like,
it's like, look at this
yelling.
Scene. It's like, look at this scene.
Adam Driver yelling
and punching a wall and sobbing like a baby.
Yeah, that's it. That's the movie.
Yeah, I mean. Good scene. He's good in that scene. But
yeah,
like,
he is.
That movie is very. You're right. It is very Oscar bait. And Squid and the Whale feels very. I've been saying this a lot, but like down to earth.
Yeah, it feels more like
you're watching
independent.
Yeah,
like it feels like an indie movie, which I think it was. And you know, I have a lot of love for like indie movies. You know, like. So
Drive.
For me, yeah, well, no, that was technically like a Hollywood production.
I thought Drive was
it just wasn't super popular.
Oh, it's a
like an independent, like think like Clerks or something, like an independent filmmaker.
Yeah.
Like a big studio.
Yeah.
It has kind of more of that feeling to it. Like think like early Wes Anderson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that.
I haven't seen his early work. I've only seen like his new, more refined stuff.
Right. Yeah, so like I always really like that feeling, and it feels very more like it has a more authentic feeling because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty decent.
No, I liked it too. Just a little much for me sometimes, but yeah, I did like it.
All right.
So next movie we're talking about, I was like, man, I really want to watch something, because we literally watched this right after we watched Squid and the Whale.
No, we watched this the next day.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right, because we watched it with your fiance.
Yeah, and they were at work when we were watching Squid and the Whale, so we watched this the next day.
No, because I was like, man, I just want to watch something nice.
Yeah.
Because that movie was so fucking mean. So I was like, you know what? Let's watch Pleasantville. Yeah. I haven't seen Pleasantville.
Yeah.
Had you seen it? I couldn't remember. Have you seen it at
that point? For me, when I was a kid, I used to watch the VHS for The Wedding Singer like almost every night. And there would be like there would be like the previews before the movie came on. Because you know how VHS will have that sometimes.
Yeah.
And Pleasantville was always on there, so I've seen that trailer probably 150 times, but I'd never seen the movie. So I was like, you know, I want to watch this movie at some point, because it always looked really interesting. I was like, this looks like an interesting movie. And yeah, I never like went out of my way to watch it until, you know, recently.
Yeah.
When we watched it.
Yeah. I wasn't allowed to watch it when I was younger, which I would say is kind of
see why.
I would say I would feel is kind of concerning. like with its theming,
right?
Because there's a lot of um well, let's just talk about the movie.
Yeah.
So, do you want to describe, or I'll probably I'll tell the synopsis because you've been going about the synopsises for the last couple ones. So the synopsis of Pleasantville is these two characters. One of them is played by Tobey Maguire. They're siblings, played by Tobey Maguire, and who's the other one?
Reese Witherspoon.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. All right. The other one is Reese Witherspoon, and they're siblings, and one of them's going out on a date or something, and the other one is Tobey Maguire is like, I gotta watch this show to win a contest.
Yeah,
trivia.
It's basically like a Leave It to Beaver-esque type of show,
like
a 50s black and white, like everything's perfect, very like early Archie comics where it's like, oh man, wrong. I like painted the fence wrong.
Yeah, nothing's wrong. Like the problems are just like, whoops, really, I dropped a quarter and shit like that.
Like, oh no, I dropped a quarter down a sewer drain.
Yeah, it's like that type stuff. So while they're fighting about trying to, who gets the TV for the night, what's his name?
Don Knotts,
the legendary Don Knotts, shows up on the TV and is like, you two need to be taught a lesson, and then sucks him into the TV, into the show Pleasantville, where everything is black and white and everything is perfect. Yeah. And they proceed to fuck shit up. And it is the funniest thing. Like, but it's also really cool, and it gets really like
surprisingly deep.
Yeah, surprisingly deep and like kind of racial.
So this movie was made in like the late 90s. It was made in like 98. And that first like half feels very, very 90s. It's got like the kind of like MTV vibe.
Yeah.
And then they go into this show, and it's the 50s, and like the perfect life that you would see on like advertisements for like like bakeware from the 50s.
Yeah, like Art Deco type stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's more like the 60s.
Oh, whoops. Well, okay.
But yeah, so they go into this world, and it's like the first part of when they're in there is kind of just like, oh, like hijinks and shenanigans of like trying to navigate this world while being like modern people, but you have to pretend you're from this like world and stuff, and and then it just kind of like like the messaging ends up just getting really deep. Like it's not so like they start by them kind of starting to like divert from being like perfect 50s, there starts to be like pops of color from around the town, and it's like using with that sort of like in mind there, they kind of use that as like messaging for like the civil rights movement and stuff like that. Although none of the characters themselves are like...
Yeah, they are all white.
They're all white because, it's perfect Pleasantville. But, there's literally, like, times where it'll be, like, some of the people are in black and white, some of the people are in color, and then they'll be like, oh, the colored people.
Yeah,
there was literally, like, a sign that was, like, no colored people, and it was like, whoa,
it's like, right. That is clearly, like... And there's also, like, a lot of, like, riot imagery.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think... It's just...
There's literally, like, a book burning.
Yeah, a book burning, and, like... Because, like, they're, like, educating people, because before the books were all just blank.
Yeah.
So when people started educating people on, like, stuff, the books started filling out, so they started throwing away the books that were filling out, and it's just like, wow, that is really deep for a movie I thought was going to be just, like, fun and goofy.
Yeah.
And, hold on, I just really want to just mention this before we get off topic about, like, about the plot.
Yeah.
The technology they use for this movie is so good.
Yeah, no, the
coloring effects.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, no, I was gonna mention it at some point. Like the cinematography from using like the color and stuff like that is fucking amazing. Like it looks so good. Because there will literally be, like, a character that's fully black and white, and then a character right next to him that's in, like, complete color, and it looks really, like...
And you can see, like, another thing I'll say is, like, there's, like, I think one scene where they go into, like, the destroyed, like, the, like milkshake shop and stuff like that, and, like, one of the characters, like, one of the black and white characters, like, hugs the... like guy that's in color, who's like the candy shop owner or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can see his color reflecting off of her skin.
Yeah, no, it's so fucking well done.
It's like, how the fuck did you do that?
Yeah, it look, and the color, like it's like very, very, very vibrant, like early, like 50s Hollywood when they first started using color in film, where every color is extremely vibrant. Like, it looks just gorgeous.
Or there's like where there's like a scene where like a tree catches on fire, and Tobey Maguire runs outside, and the fire is like illuminating his face, but it's still black and white, but you can see the red off of his face, and I'm like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Like there's no fuck ups at all. Like there's maybe like one or two here if you really, really squint, but it's like, how the fuck did you do that?
It's extremely well done. Like, the color and black and white effect is just amazing. Like, it just looks really fucking good.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's just astonishing how, like, I really want to watch like some behind the scenes on that movie.
Yeah.
'Cause, like,
see how exactly they did all that, because it looks so good.
Yeah. But enough gushing about the coloring VFX, because we could just talk about that for an hour or so.
Right.
But like, no, the story is like, it just gets like really deep, because I was like, oh man, this movie's gonna be fun and wacky and goofy. Mm-hmm. But no, it gets really deep about like, treating different people as like your own, and I'm like, all right, this is like really good. And like all the acting's really good. Tobey Maguire's always a treat to watch on screen.
I was gonna say, like, the acting is all really good. The characters are all really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of like grow with this. They like grow and get more depth as the story goes on, especially like the black and white characters and stuff from the beginning. Like, it just, the characters are all really interesting, and the acting is literally just good all across the board.
Agreed,
everybody's really good.
Like, like Tobey Maguire's like the nerdy, dorky guy. I mean, makes sense.
That's kind of what he always likes.
His sister's like the like popular like high school sweetheart, and like, they go into this world, and he's like, oh, I know what to do. Just be myself, and I'll just stay here because this place is great.
Yeah.
And then like, the roles kind of switch.
Yeah.
Where he becomes like really like the popular guy, and she becomes like nerdy.
Yeah.
And she like wants to pursue college.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, spoiler alert, I mean, this movie's old as shit. But like, she just like at the end of the movie, she just fucking stays there.
Yeah, because she's like, like, this is the only way that I'll be able to get like the education that I want to get.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So it makes me think, what's Tobey Maguire's mom gonna fucking think? She's just gone?
Like, that is kind of like a weird plot hole.
Yeah. Like,
but
is his sister just dead, or like?
Yeah, no, it's kind of a weird plot hole.
Other than that,
at the end there.
It's a very, very, very lovely movie.
Yeah, no, and it feels very like, even with its like heavier themes and stuff like that, there's kind of like the theme of like acceptance, I think, throughout, is what I would kind of say. Like, accepting who you are as a person, accepting the things that you like to do, and the person that you want to be.
Exactly.
Accepting other people, it's kind of just this general theme of acceptance, and it, I feel like it plays it really well, and it kind of leaves like a nice feeling after the end of the movie.
I agree. Like, it is a very, very lovely movie to watch.
Yeah.
Like, I know we're saying like, oh, it's so deep, and there's so much like racial tension, metaphors, stuff in it, but it's like really like, you watch that movie, and by the end you just feel so fucking nice.
Yeah.
And I definitely highly recommend giving it a watch. It's not very long.
I think it's about 2 hours.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours. It's not like too long. Usual movie length, but no, yeah, it's on HBO right now.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max.
Well, whenever this episode comes out.
Yes.
Hopefully
at this point in time, as of October 2nd, it is on HBO Max.
Yeah, so go watch it. It's a great movie. Tobey Maguire is a treat. Always is. Reese Witherspoon is great in it. Everyone else in that movie.
Yeah, Jeff Daniels is in that too. Plays a completely different character.
He's like who's he again in that movie?
He's the painter.
Oh, that's right. He's the painter.
Yeah.
Definitely go watch that movie. It's so good. What would you give it out of 10?
I feel like an 8.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing.
I'm thinking like an 8. That seems solid.
Yeah, solid 8. So
yeah, okay. I feel like these next two we're kind of gonna talk about like.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about them together mostly.
Basically, yeah.
And kind of talk about I would say the studio as a whole.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
But we watched, just to end off our roundup, we're gonna talk about 2 movies, which are Whisper of the Heart, My Neighbor Totoro, both by Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
Both very cute movies.
Yeah.
Not really much to say about Studio Ghibli movies since it's just like.
I mean, I feel like the thing about Studio Ghibli movies is like they're always just like they always kind of give you this feeling of like whimsy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like this very whimsical feeling, this very like like young feeling of just being like just like childhood wonder.
Exactly.
I feel like Studio Ghibli is really good at.
Mm-hmm.
I will say like my Neighbor Totoro definitely feels more younger.
Oh yeah, it's definitely for like a younger audience.
It's definitely from like kind of more like closer to like a Ponyo, whereas Whisper of the Heart has a little bit more maturity to it. Yeah, also, Lo-Fi Girl.
Oh yeah, Whisper of the Heart, if you didn't know, is the origin of the Lo-Fi Girl.
Yeah, we were just watching the movie, and then that frame came up, and we're like, "What?"
We're like, "Oh hey, it's her. Yeah, it's the Lo-Fi Girl."
No, and I feel like they always have like really good themes in their movies.
Oh yeah.
Like with these two, with Whisper of the Heart, it's kind of like, like pursue your dreams and like, things will kind of work out the way that they need to, and like you can grow with another person, and like I watched this video essay about like romance in Studio Ghibli movies, and it's like, it's always kind of portrayed as like a close friendship first.
Yeah.
Which is always, because all the romances tend to be pretty young, with the exception of like Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah, they're both adults.
Yeah, but like they're kind of like they're portrayed as like close friends first, and they kind of are like, let's find a way to grow together, which is a really healthy mindset. And
I fucking love that.
There's like no toxic relationships in Studio Ghibli.
No.
Like.
No, yeah, I didn't watch that video, but you should send me the link to that because I want to watch that now.
Yeah, no, and I was like, yeah, no, that's really interesting, and like, I always really like I always really like the kind of themes that they always bring to the table. Really, of like, it's always just like things of like being kind to yourself, being kind to others, being kind to the environment, whatever else, and it's kind of usually something around those lines, and I always feel like that's always good messaging.
It's great messaging, like
yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't really know what to say about the Ghibli movies that we watched besides like they're just really good. Like Whisper of the Heart was really good. Oh my god, though, like the entire time because like they really were just like Carrie Elwes is in this fucking movie. Carrie Elwes is in this fucking movie.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
that. I'm like, all right, I'm watching it and I'm like, all right, when's Carrie Elwes gonna show up? All right, when's Carrie Elwes gonna show up? And I'm like, Carrie Elwes isn't even in this fucking movie, and he shows up in literally the last like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, no, it's not quite that late, but it's pretty late into the movie.
Yeah. But no, it's
like that one's like one of the less like fantastical ones. It's like not quite as like fantasy oriented.
I didn't know that because the image that they get for HBO Max doesn't look like just a basic like,
it's very like grounded within reality, whereas
it's like a high school romance drama.
Yeah. It's very like grounded within the real world, whereas like a lot of the other ones are more like fantastical, So I thought that was really interesting because I wasn't expecting that. I'll also say there's a lot of really gifable moments in Whisper of the Heart.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
Because there's always like a lot of like scenery of like the animated like lo-fi. City of Japan. There's like all these like lo-fi imagery and stuff like that, and I'm just like, man, this is just like the lo-fi movie.
It is the lo-fi movie. It really is. It's the origin of the lo-fi girl. So like, it's. No, yeah. But also like Totoro is good too.
Yes.
But it's also very for children.
Yeah.
Like like along the lines of like Ponyo.
Yeah, exactly.
There's like no conflict until like the end.
Yeah, no, you're like, oh, this movie has like no conflict, and then it's like the mother's like in the hospital, and you're like, oh god, is she gonna die?
Yeah, I was like, oh fuck, is she literally just gonna die? So like, well, no, it turns out she was just like, oh, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's both are very, very wholesome.
Yeah.
And very nice movies.
Always like pretty to look at, you know.
Oh yeah.
I feel like you know, the voice acting in Ghibli movies are always pretty good. At least the English, because that's the one that we hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel like that's always good. You know, I feel like there's not really a lot of like negative things to say about any Ghibli movie.
I've literally like every Ghibli, well, not every, fucking Tales from Earthsea. I'll get onto that another day. But no, yeah, most Ghibli movies I'm just like,
Your Wig and the Witch.
oh, don't, yeah, no, let's not talk about that one. But no, most Ghibli movies,
yeah,
there's like literally they're like flawless movies.
Yeah,
like there's literally no problems that I see within the movies that are, you know, that bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Aside from like the outliers here and there, like Tales from Earthsea or like Earwig and the Witch, which was Earwig and the Witch was like they were trying something new, and I don't think they're gonna do it ever again.
Yeah, it didn't really land.
Everyone hated it.
Yeah.
It looked like a fucking early PS2 game.
Yeah, it looked like one of those like, you know, like Food Fight. It looked like one of those really low budget, like straight to DVD movies.
Yeah, it did.
Or like fucking Goat Story.
Which is unfortunate though, because it's fucking Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, they're known universally for their art style, but you know, I think that kind of just, and they've tried like different art styles before, and it still looks good. It's like I think they just need to keep to the hand drawn,
2D.
Yeah.
Not 3D.
Yeah, they need to stay more in like the realm of hand drawn, because that's pretty much what they've done their whole career.
Yo, after this we should watch a Ghibli movie. I really want to watch a Ghibli movie now.
Yeah, no, it's like it's just always fun, and like they're always really pretty to look at, and yeah, I mean, I feel like there's nothing really negative I could say.
Yeah.
What would you rate either one?
I'd give the more I think about it, with Spirit of the Heart, I was gonna be like, oh, like a 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I'll give it like an 8.
Yeah, same.
Honestly, like I relate to the main character.
Yeah.
I relate to the main character from that movie like a lot.
Yeah.
Because she's a writer.
Yeah.
And I too am a writer, a struggling writer at that, and she's a struggling writer. Right. And I really like, you never see that in any story aside from like Stephen King, where the writer's an alcoholic from Maine who beats his wife. So like you never see that ever again, or you never see that ever. So in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Because most writer stories are just like they die.
Yeah.
Because like you got Misery, you got the new season of Ahas, which is really bad, or not bad, but like the writers in that are like, how they're portrayed are bad. And then you got like anything from Stephen King. So it's just nice to have like
something nice,
positive about an author's story.
Yeah.
So like, and so I'll give that an 8. And then not Ponyo, My Neighbor Totoro, I'd give it like a 7. Like, yeah. Like
I feel the same. It's cute, but I feel like it's just very it's a little young for me.
Yeah. I feel like if I was younger, I would have liked it a lot more.
Yeah.
But I do like it, and I feel like if I like were to have kids later in life, I would show them that, because I feel like kids would love
I agree.
So yeah, and I'm sure one day we'll do a whole episode on Ghibli movies.
I'm sure, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that whenever we do it.
Well, we gotta finish out. We have a lot of Studio Ghibli movies we still gotta watch before we can do that.
Yeah, we do.
So, yeah, we will. We'll do that at some point.
So these next, I will let you guys know these next couple weeks. I don't know when this episode will come out. You'll hear it when you hear it.
Right.
We were on a very brief hiatus with scheduling issues, and I don't know when these next couple episodes will come out. Hopefully within the next few weeks of each other. But thank you guys so much for listening and keeping track with us. Make sure to like subscribe, like our shit, Follow us on Instagram. We post updates there. At least we try to. No, we haven't done that lately. But thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, your family. Subscribe. I think I said that already. Fuck. Anyway, this has been the Just Can't Talk podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching, and good night.
Good night.